Willie D Live.
So we got tragic news out of D.C. One of two National Guard members shot by Ramanoli Lackenwall near the White House on Wednesday has died. President Trump confirmed this on yesterday. Trump, in his first live remarks since the shooting, said Sarah Beckstrom of West Virginia, highly respected, young, magnificent person. She's just passed away. She's no longer with us. Beckstrom was only 20 years old. The second Guard member, Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf, 24, is still in critical condition and fighting for his life, according to Trump. The FBI, U.S. Attorney's Office, and the National Guard ID'd the shooter as 29-year-old Afghan national Lackenwall. Social media footage showed the gunman being taken away into custody on a D.C. street with two wounded National Guard members lying on the ground nearby. Let me let y'all check out a little of the footage of the National Guard members returning fire on the suspect. Really brief video, so I'll run it back. And then here's a video where they captured the suspect. Now, no word just yet of a motive. Let me put a pic up of this guy so that y'all can know who is the main subject. So no word yet on a motive, but here's what we do know about Ramanola Lackenwall. He is an Afghan national identified as the suspect in the November 2025 shooting of two National Guard members near the White House in Washington, D.C. One of the guards, U.S. Specialist Sarah Beckstrom, died from her injuries. Key details. Lackenwall is a 29-year-old Afghan national with a wife and 5 sons. A relative stated he served 10 years in the Afghan army, including working with U.S. Special Forces troops. Entry into the U.S. Oh, this is a good one right here because you know Trump is trying to get rid of all of the illegals. He's trying to get rid of them all. He wants everybody out of the country, any immigrants trying to come here except the white ones. He wants them out. Lackenwall entered the U.S. in September 2021 under humanitarian parole during Operation Allies Welcome, and was granted asylum in April 2025. So the boy got on the fast track to citizenship. On November 26, 2025, Lackenwall allegedly shot 2 National Guard members near the White House. He was shot and taken into custody during the confrontation. Lackenwall is hospitalized and reportedly not cooperating with the investigation. Authorities believes he acted alone in a targeted ambush, and the FBI is investigating it as possible act of international terrorism. So the aftermath is that the shooting has raised questions about the vetting of Afghan refugees and led to a halt in processing immigration requests for Afghan nationals pending a security review. And that brings us actually to Donald Trump's comments to the reporter that he totally disrespected, and we'll get to that in a moment. But I wanted to share some more details about the shooter. This guy allegedly was having some psychotic moments, so he allegedly had been tripping. He thought that he was on the pathway for deportation. They thought he thought that the U.S. was trying to deport him. So he was experiencing paranoia, according to family members. He was experiencing paranoia, and he thought that there was a chance that he might be deported. What I'm not understanding is, why would you go out like that if you think that you're going to be deported? So you decide to take a gun and start shooting people, right? Now you are guaranteed to be deported. You have removed all doubt that you're going to be deported. Not only are you going to be deported, but you are done with your privilege and obligations of raising your own children. Now another man is going to be walking through your house in his drawers, scratching his balls, knocking your wife down, telling your boys what to do. This, in my opinion, family, is madness. Now, I know some of these people, that come from these foreign countries, they got that kamikaze mentality. And, if it's for the right cause, they'll go out. They'll just kiss everybody goodbye, and they want to die a martyr. They're ready to go out for the cause. But this appears to be an act of a lone wolf, a targeted attack, but an act of a lone wolf. This doesn't seem like it was for a cause, but just because. I can't imagine inflicting self-harm on myself to separate me from my children in this wild, crazy, beautiful world. There are too many uncivilized mutts that roam the earth. And the United States in particular has a high concentration of uncivilized mutts. Yeah, that's right, I said it. And this is my country. But we have a high concentration of uncivilized mutts. This is why we are so paranoid. Anybody can easily say, I love my country. And it's even easier to say that if you've never been anywhere else. If you don't know what it's like to live in a country where you really don't have to lock your doors at night. You don't have to let your windows down. You don't have to lock your windows. You don't have to have alarms on your house. You don't have to have an alarm on your car. If you've never lived that life before, I encourage you to put that on your bucket list. Because moving outside of the United States and living in a foreign country, in multiple foreign countries, was one of the best things I ever did for myself. It opened my mind. Ooh, it blew my mind. To be able to hear news reports that was not just about Democrats and Republicans, that was not about trying to further taint the image of black folks, where they try to control the narrative and make black people look bad. Oh man, you need to watch some of that. You need to watch some of that kind of news. You know, to watch television shows where it was either just about pure, wholesome humor, or, you know, it was about family. You know, could have been entertaining, it could have been dramatic or whatever, but they didn't have the cesspool of entertainment like it is here, where anything goes and everybody and anything is disrespected. Women walking the street at 2:00 in the morning, 4:00 in the morning, fully dressed. Maybe they had been out somewhere at a party, but high heel shoes, fully dressed, just walking, and nobody is stalking. Nobody is trying to RAP her. Nobody's trying to kidnap her, murder her. You know, you got to find yourself in one of those countries and try to do it for at least, 6 months to a year, just to see that you got options and just to be able to feel that type of energy. It's something different, man. But if all you know is the United States, you ain't really giving yourself a real chance of experiencing life to its fullest. So this guy, Lackenwall, he entered the United States in September 2021 through Operation Allies Welcome, the program that resettles Afghans after U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. So this guy is a guy who came through the system. Now you let Trump and his administration tell it, this guy somehow slipped through the cracks, even though he was fully vetted. And but now you hear him saying, "Hey, well, he wasn't really vetted." You know what I'm saying? The Biden administration is responsible for this, and Okay, let's say the Biden administration was responsible for it. Since Trump is the what do you call it? The law and order president, and he's been going back, fixing everything and straightening stuff out and making things run efficiently or proficiently, depending on how you feel. How come he didn't go back and look at those Afghans and make sure that they were all on the up and up, make sure that all of their paperwork, make sure that they did a thorough psychological evaluation on this guy? How come they didn't do that? Lackenwall had been living in Bellingham, Washington State before driving across the country to D.C. So this guy drove across the country, clean across the country, to go commit this crime. Other guards in the area subdued Lackenwall. After he was shot 4 times during the confrontation, he was taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. I always find that interesting, how they can take real killers in alive. I mean, people who actually got a gun, they got a gun because they shoot. They're killing. I always find that fascinating how they can actually, I find it fascinating how they can make these type of guys still be alive after everything go down. Like, oftentimes, people get killed, especially black people get killed because the police thought he had a gun, thought they was reaching for a gun, thought they had a weapon, thought, and people get killed. They ain't seen no weapon or nothing, but they just thought. They ain't killed nobody. Now they know they ain't killed nobody. But somehow, some way, an innocent person who's unarmed gets murdered by the police. But here's a guy who was busting at the police. Bing, boom, boom, boom. I don't know what he was using, but it sounded like he would have been using something heavy. Some of that. Sound like he would have used something heavy, right? I'm trying to figure out, how do you take this guy in alive? I'm surprised they shot him 4 times. I'm surprised they shot him at all. Usually they let him, if they're not black, they can, okay. I give. Come on, go and arrest me. I ran out of bullets. Okay, I'm coming out. It just amazes me how they can switch code. It amazes me how they do that. If anybody deserved to die from the bullets of a cop, it was this guy. He not only killed, but he killed one of their own. You know how they get when you kill one of their own, because, one of their own blood is more important than our blood, right? One of their own's life is more important than our lives. So when it's one of their own, they get really, really mad and they get tough, and they go, they start crying and stuff. Sometimes you never even know they had the ability to cry or show empathy. They just be crying and all that stuff. They be lining up the streets, all at the hospital. But when it's a citizen, the people that they're supposed to respect and protect, they just, they stand around the body laughing, cracking jokes and stuff. It's not even a big deal at all. I seen them do it.